Great, we are live. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the early birds. Bhavana, Brijesh, Neha, Kramaditya, STA. Thank you so much. Please DM one of us from LambdaTest, either myself or Sparsh or Kavya. We will send you LambdaTest swags. That's the perk of being an early bird, right? And yeah, Christmas gift will be on your way. Thank you for joining early. And we have our fantastic panelists already waiting up here. We have been having a fantastic chat at the backstage. Yeah, it's already a great chat, and they're all warmed up to spill in the wonderful words of wisdom for all of you that happened in 2023, the overall experiences, and how it's going to be there for 2024. It's always interesting to predict the future, right? Yeah, I mean, we're not astrologists, but I think we'll try to do our best to see, how well the thoughts will be hold good for 2024. And again, thank you so much for joining. And I would just want the chat section to be a little bit interactive. So if you don't mind, please use the chat section and type in where you're joining in from. So our wonderful panelist would be keen to know where you're joining in from. And with that, I'll start with my introduction. So we have Butch Mayhew. So he's head of quality and reliability at TILD, coming all the way from Alabama, with nice lights at the background, getting in the festive mode. And we have Gaurav, senior test consultant at Microsoft from India. And then we have 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐰𝐚, who is test team lead at Symphony Solutions. She's based in the UK, but moved in Nigeria. So we have some thought leadership coming in from Nigeria. Lots of story from 𝐕𝐢𝐬𝐰𝐚 to hear. So I'm sure, it'll be fantastic. And next up, Sachin Sharma from Adidas. You could, very well showing the brand there. Thanks for sponsoring the Indian cricket team. And Seema Prabhu, Director of Quality, Hudl, joining in from UK. And then we have Sneha, last but not the least, the well-known face in the quality space, Director of Quality Engineering at EVERFI. Thank you, everyone, for joining. How are you feeling?
Great. Very festive.
Cool, thank you. So yeah, I think the chats are coming in from. So folks, feel free to put it in the chat where you're joining in from. That'll be super helpful. And without any further ado, let's start with the panel discussion. I think the topic today, as most of you would have seen, is to have a little bit look behind on how 2023 went and how 2024 is going to come up for, especially for testers, QA, for those of you doing, or who, put it in short, for anyone who's passionate about quality, right? So my first question for the day would be, how did 2023 unfold for you? Are there any personal achievements or notable things that you want to share? Because I think that's quite important to share with everyone. So let's go around the table. Maybe let's start with Butch.
All right. Well, I'm Butch Mayhew. I'm from Alabama in the USA. Hopefully I don't have too bad of an accent, but I work on quality and reliability, and my passion this past year has really been around Playwright. So really excited to just become a Playwright ambassador. I've got a website, Playwright Solutions. I've been able to write one article a week, and I think what makes me really happy about that is hearing people's feedback. So they go read, they're like, oh, you unblocked me. And I'm like, oh, that gives me all the feels. So that's just, it makes me smile, makes me happy. If you're struggling, go check it out.
Thank you, Butch. Gaurav?
Yeah, hello. So for me, it was it started with that 21 days, 21 tips. And so that was one of the initiative. And if you complete something in the new year, it really helps you to take it forward. So this time I was able to complete, and then to my surprise, I got the Tester of the Year award 2022. That was I felt like feeling that I got that I got that, and it even motivated me to do further and complete it. There was a Azure DevOps series I was doing, and it was lagging, so I completed that 2 hackathons. One, because we are seeing that no code solutions are coming. It was Context QA and Ask UI. Apart from that, experiences, GitHub Copilot and ChatGPT are my new friends.
No wonder coming in from Microsoft. I know you love those tools, and then, yeah, I think everyone loves that. And thank you for those wonderful innovations. Next up, 𝐵𝐺𝐻.
Okay. Hello, everyone. For me, I would say 2023 turned out really well. I had the opportunity to work with testers in different continents rather than just within Africa, right? And that was a great, experience to get to work with the other people. I would say that was a great one too. I get to lead my largest team this year. Yes, so before I usually lead a team of 5, 10, but this year I had the experience of leading a team of over 60 testers and in different continents with different time zones. So that experience sort of opened me up to more possibility. I would say that generally for me in Africa, I noticed that there is more acceptance of software testing. So that's possibly made more opportunities, more job, and more interest of people to, go into tech also come up. And yes, AI came and made a very huge shift this year in testing for me. And I was able to maximize it to support what I do and also able to embrace the positivity that lies around AI for testing. I would say this year is I think I had the lowest talking, I think in terms of numbers, yes, I had a very low number of talking engagement, but more broad, if that's the way to put it. So okay, for example, you're in one country, you are speaking to like on 10, 20 events, but now it's just like 5 events, but more global, more international, so yeah, that's how it was for me this year.
It's so nice to hear. I wish more thought leadership content, coming in from Africa and Nigeria specifically. And thank you so much for doing and bringing the community back in there. Thank you so much, 𝐵𝐺𝐻. Next up, I want to invite 𝐁𝐮.
Yeah. So 2023 started a little different for me. And it was same towards the Indian market. It started with layoff news, ample of layoff in Indian market with plenty of companies. It started with that, but then, Adidas was there on the other side. So the biggest thing that I'm working with the people I want, I'm working for the passion I have. So it's all about football in Adidas. And I am doing software testing for those people who every time talks about football. So that's how it started. And then now, being the part of the Spartan group from LambdaTest is again another thing happened in this year. So learning from people I want, working with people I want. From TTC perspective, if people do not know, I am part of the test chat community. So there, this entire year was learning for us. We did a couple of things here and there, but we have learned throughout this year how we're gonna perform in 2024. So overall, this entire year was experiencing different things and learning to get prepared for next year. And that's what 2023 was for me.
Thanks, 𝐁𝐮. Seema.
Hey, 2023 has been, I guess, the biggest learning curve for me. So I've been into software testing for many, many years. And this year, I got the opportunity to start working in not just software, but also in hardware testing, hardware, IoT, manufacturing, supply, the quality aspects related to that. So it's just blown my mind off with how much is there. Especially, it's also connected the dots for me. I did chemical engineering when I studied and never worked in that area. And then now doing more in hardware, and I can start relating to what I'd studied many, many years ago. So that's been a huge learning curve. And like 𝐁𝐮, I'm also in the sports technology area, which is, again, very new, very interesting. The passion that athletes have in their sports is mind-blowing. Lastly, I think I've been mentoring for quite a while, mentoring and coaching. I think this year has hit the highest. I've got about mentees from 15 countries now, and many of them have actually got their dream job after being with me for a while, which feels really very good. very happy about it.
Yeah, I think that satisfaction matters. Wow, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. I wish you do much more in 2024. Thank you, Seema. Sneha, digital nomad.
So 2023 professionally has been amazing for me. I got to go to a number of conferences in different places and speak at conferences and just meet a lot of people in person, because he mentioned digital nomad. I work from home full time, so meeting people it does make a big difference. When you go to conferences, you're talking the same things, and it's been amazing. And at work, I've been focusing more on the application security tools and static code analysis tools, and having to implement that in the DevOps and CI/CD pipelines, and putting processes in place. And we newly adopted scaled agile framework, SAFe. So that's been interesting, but also it's been interesting, but also a nice journey to see how it's actually turned out to be good for us, for cross-functional teams and all that. So that's kind of been my professional life in 2023, and it's been a journey, but it's been amazing.
Thank you, Sneha. And I think one thing which will be for all of you, and thanks, Sachin, for pointing out, would be that all of you have become part of LambdaTest Spartans in 2023. And thank you so much. I'm taking this opportunity again to thank you for joining this platform with us. I know you all do a great amount of work in the community in thought leadership, either by blogs or giving a talk at conferences in numerous ways. And I hope the LambdaTest Spartans will give you much more of that platform to share those knowledge. And thank you for sharing how 2023 went for you. I think that's interesting perspectives from different people here. And I hope that warmed up a bit for the attendees as well. And the first question, the actual question I have today, we spoke about how 2023 went in general, right? So now I want to pick up what new technology that came up in 2023, which actually challenged how testing could happen in that. It could be, as a tester, I'm wondering how would I test this? Or maybe we could say a technology that challenged the entire testing or quality community to put up or coming up with a strategy, maybe, right? So yeah, I think I see a hand up, Ibronki.
That was quite a mistake. Oh, it's fine. Okay. So do you want me to, do I go ahead?
Yeah, you volunteered, so yeah.
Okay. I would just mention, then I like others to go. I would say one of the technology that emerged this year that shapes the way testing happens is actually the AI, the emergence of a lot of AI technologies. People get to see firsthand AI producing a result. Of course, maybe not perfect to what they would have wanted. Maybe not the best way that we would have written it or done things as testers. But they saw that this can actually be done better. This can be done faster. So I would say AI did of course, it has always been there, like Google Analytics, Google translators and all. But I think this year, with the emergence of AI, more products came up. Right, there is now more no-code tools that helps to, reduce the stress of testing or documentation or review or collaboration within the team. So I would say AI as an umbrella name, basically. Yeah.
That's an interesting perspective. Of course, I know AI has made headlines, and many of those, platforms that we could imagine, and not to mention the tools, right? The emergence of tools has been fantastic. And I believe in Eurostar last time, we've been having chat with Lisa Crispin and a few others, and they were saying 1980s when the first, or 70s, I don't remember the exact year, but when the Eurostar started, I think there were no much tools, a tool company as a sponsorship. Now, if you look around, there are a room full of companies, right? So I think in a way, thanks to AI, right now in 2023, we see a lot of those companies coming up. So yeah, definitely AI is definitely one of those things. Thanks to that, for more companies and tools and options, and can make confusions for people to choose from, as well as a testers, we have a lot of challenges to figure out how do we exactly test those models, and how do we exactly, test how accurate the informations are. Anyone else would like to add to that question on what challenge 2023 for testers?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Sachin.
I think the challenge for I think there is this thing which people say challenge for testers emerging AI things, but I think it is helping tester in the other way which people are not thinking. What is that is because of AI now, non-tester understand that testing is not about execution. When you use AI, typically Gen AI, it is helping you to create scripts. It is helping you to execute those scripts. And earlier people used to say testing is like execution. You have test cases and you're executing it. Now when AI is doing this part, what is this other thing which people are doing? And that other thing is actually testing. So the challenge for not only testers, but also non-tester to understand that testing is not all about scripting and the execution, but it's about utilizing the tools like AI or the power like AI to make yourself efficient and do the work that you want to do, but in amplified way, in the enhancement of your exercises. And that makes you, in great speed and also help you to maintain your quality. I think that is the challenge of how you can face this kind of pace. So facing the pace is the challenge that people have. And I think tester has to accept it, learn it, and then make, AI as your friend to get going for that. Yep.
Yeah, as a friendly ally. There you go. Thanks, Sachin, for sharing. Anyone else would like to answer before I move on to the next one?
Yeah, so I think that so AI was already there. Like we have delivered many solutions. It's that the Gen AI that has come into picture, and the good part is it understands the context, which is very important. Like I was writing one code someday that I don't want to run it on a particular day. So in computer language, it's like an integer. I told 5 and just I gave some comment and it already wrote that, okay, this code will not run on Tuesday. I wanted to add that comment and it already did that. So it's like it has just started. Like we saw that in the initial 2 months, they have gained so many subscribers and people who have signed up for ChatGPT, for which Facebook and Google, it took so many years to have those many users, which got onboarded. So it's just another tool that you have now that you can use it. And it's that I think it has just started. We have not realized the potential of it. We are just using it for asking question. I see that it will penetrate more and more into the various things that we are using. Like one example that I could say that even I read in the book that Mulya has written out, that like when you are creating bugs, right? So when you join a team and there are, let's say, 80 bugs already there, and when you create a new one, you don't know whether somebody has created it. So now AI will start penetrating into those tools, and then you will be easily know, okay, somebody has already created something similar. And also there I see that it's helping and saving time. And what Sachin mentioned, that it will give you time to actually focus on things instead of spending time on these things, which the tools could have solved by now.
Interesting perspective. Thanks, Carl. We actually touched upon the next question I was actually going through, right? I mean, we know AI has been, hitting the headlines for quite a few times in many of the forums. So the question that I had next was around, have you come across any AI-based testing tech, right, that had a successful implementation? I'm not asking about the tool specifically. You don't have to name any tool vendors out there, but it's more about any specific strategy or techniques you have seen that has been implemented successfully.
I can take that one. So yes, in one of my previous projects, we had used an AI-based tool for automation. The problem we were having is we had a big team, but they weren't really ready for coded automation framework. And writing the framework and then maintaining the tests and making it reliable was just not possible. Adding to that was the architecture of what we were working with. The product was hundreds and hundreds of same but similar but not the same kind of websites, and it became really hard to have tests that were maintainable for all of them. So we found this tool, AI-based tool, which really helped us. One, we didn't need coding skills or coding experts to build the framework. AI was doing all of it. And then also to maintain those hundreds of test cases that was applicable, it became so much easier to manage it because AI was constantly raising those alerts and fixing it where possible. And then the test managing of those became very easy. So at the end of it, what couldn't be automated or we were struggling to even start, we had almost 60% done within about 6 months. And that included training and implementing as well. There is, depending on context, I think these tools are really useful, definitely.
Wonderful. Are you planning to give a talk on that? We'd like to hear a 60-minute version of that. Sounds very interesting, isn't it, folks? Amazing. Yeah, go ahead, 𝐵𝐚𝐻.
Okay. I also wanted to mention that of course, I was in the UK to do my master's program, and what I used for my project was I developed a secured API automation framework. What the framework was meant to do was that it generates an automation API script. So you have your API collections or probably an API request. It generates an API automation script. It tests it. If it passes, it goes ahead to run a security check on it. And then if it fails, it sends it back, and then it goes in circle. That took roughly like 6 months to develop because I had to involve both the development and I also had to develop a UI because it has to be a web-based application where even a non-code person or a non-technical person can also spin up an action, like just the way we do security testing nowadays, where we run a vulnerability assessment and then we get to see the report and then we have to go through it. So I developed something like that. Of course, I've not launched that yet. It's just an internal project. But I know that security is a major issue if a company is going to want to do this because companies don't want to expose their project to AI tools for security purposes. It now calls for a demand of trust. How much trust can the company put on these products? How safe is their data? So you want to go into not just the AI to do the scripting, to do the testing, but you also want to start thinking about data management, data immigration, privacy management, and stuff like that. But yes, there are tools that can help with testing. Test execution, let's be very specific. There are tools that can help with test execution if developed rightly, both with a testing mindset and a security perspective. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm tempted to say LambdaTest, but I don't know why I want to exclude the product pitch for now. But thank you so much, 𝐵𝐚𝐻. That helps. And I think, Seema, we already have someone on the comment section who's curious to know about the tool. So yeah, as I mentioned, yeah, I think it's time to put together a talk on that. Thank you, Paul, for asking the question. And which reminds me of sort of instruction for the people who joined us. Attendees, please use the Q&A section for any questions that you want to ask the panel. I do have set of questions that I want to go around, but we do like, the panelists are very interested to be putting under the spot. So taking the confirmation, so go ahead, please put them on the spot and ask those questions in the Q&A section. Thank you, Seema and 𝐵𝐚𝐻 for that. And I want to slightly step back from the AI. I know there's lots more to talk about AI, and I'm sure that attendees will be keen to know on that. But coming back to the basics, which is the product quality, which is what we do day to day, there is something called the testing quality strategy, right? And when we see about that, one thing that comes across quite often is the testing pyramid model, right? How relevant is this in 2023 with the tech that we have right now? Do you think testing pyramid is still relevant? Or if you've known and seen across, there are things like testing pyramid and then diamond, cheese model. There's lots and lots of things. Testing trophy model by 𝐁𝐻𝐡. So yeah, go away.
Sure.
And Yeah, Butch, yeah,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
I'll jump on
Yeah,
this one.
excited.
So I mean, I believe the test pyramid will still be relevant for forever in the future, but I think it's relevant for a different reason, right? I mean, it may not be applicable to every single testing strategy or application, but it's a place for us to point at, to look at, and to talk about the different layers of testing, right? You've got your UI layer, which is very specific on JavaScript and user interactions. And you've got your API layer, which is all around business logic most of the time. Sometimes that logic lives in the UI, right? And then you've got your like unit level layer, right? So I think if anything, right, whatever shape it is actually matters less. It's more about we've got these different layers to talk about, and we can take these tools and these strategies and apply them to those layers. And I promise you, it will look different at every single situation, right? Some may be like this, some may be like this, some may be, ice cream cones, some may be cheese slices, right? So, but I think the important part is, and the thing that won't become irrelevant with that is we have a model that allows us to talk about different things and to visualize and communicate, how are we, checking for risk against the scenario. So I think it'll still be around for a long time. I think a lot of people say it's dead, whatever. Like, no, it's still going to be there. People will still be talking about this 10 years from now. It will be different. There'll be more models probably, but it'll be around.
Thanks, Butch. I think what you're saying is more around, it will look like a testing pyramid eventually. It's very contextual and hypothetical. It might, you'll most likely end up with a different shape. Or, if you're frequently blogging, you might come up with your own model as well. So yeah, thank you. Anyone else want to add to that?
Can I just add a little bit more? I agree to everything Butch mentioned. It depends on the context, I think. It's more of what are the kind of tests that you need. If you have a variety of users and user experience matters the most, then adding too many unit tests may or may not make a difference. It's about the context that you're in, the architecture that is there. Are developers testing, or do you have QA and developers and user testing, beta testing? What kind of phases do you have? All of these does matter in deciding which strategy you go to, whether it's a pyramid or honeycomb or diamond. That's what I wanted to add.
Very relevant. Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. I think speaking of the strategy, important things, we spoke about the model itself, right? I think the key, before even coming up with the model, I think the key thing would be to do proof of concept, the due diligence, coming into the tools, right? There are lots of the plethora of tools available, and which we just discussed. So what criteria do you actually use to select and integrate any new testing tool into your workflow? Because you might be using and very acquainted with your own flow, and of course the learning curve, the time it takes to onboard a new tool. There's lots and lots of things, right? So have you done any such onboarding of tools? We don't have to name them, but steps and strategies that might help people, have a key takeaway. I see Sneha, you're unmuted. Yes, please go ahead.
So definitely, as you mentioned, right, time and money, budget, and all that is there, basic things that we look for. But other than that, I would definitely think of like the learning curve and analyze what kind of team we have in place and how easy it is for them to start using the tool. And also defining the purpose and the strategy, like what are we actually using this tool for, and analyzing what we have in place and how are we going to integrate this with what we have existing. And I always think another important factor for me that has helped in the past is customizing, like how easy it is to customize using the APIs that's readily available from the tool companies for us to do what we need to do over that, and collect reports or do whatever we want along with that. So the ease of customizing and working with the tool company, I think is something that I look for as a green flag while selecting as a criteria.
Thank you.
I can,
Makes sense.
I can jump in next. I'll just add, like, it's got to start with a problem, right? So coming with what is the problem I want to solve, and then analyzing, looking at the tool, looking at competitors, right? I mean, evaluate your options. And if it solves a problem and it's easy to kind of understand or grok for new joiners, right? That's really important to me. But it also is lower complexity, or it's not crazy complex, right? It's a little bit of complexity and adds a lot of value. Typically, a tool like that will, look towards making, my workflows. And I'll just also add on, just kind of adding on the customizability, right? If I pick a tool and it puts me in this box and it's like, you can't leave this box, and I can't do what I want with the tool, like, that's a problem, right? So having those customizations, those integrations, everything has an API at this point in 2023, right? Let me push my webhooks or send my results somewhere, or use another tool to kind of like feed into it, right? So, if those customizable things are there and it brings value and it solves a problem, yeah, it makes me happy. It joins the team.
All right.
Sounds like a good leadership there. Sorry, Biranki, just before you get your thoughts, there's a slightly related questions from your fellow Spartan, Larry. Thanks for joining us today. Where in the development cycle should test automation get involved, and how do you go about POC new tools? So if you want to expand your thoughts and answer to our fellow Spartan, that'll be great.
Okay, so do I go ahead to have? Okay, not this one, but I mean, I think that the Butch and Snaith have already answered the questions very well. Just to add to what I would consider as a criteria to select or integrate tools, like, yes, I need to know what I want to test. My selection criteria is it scalable? Is there a tool alignment with the technology I used? I also consider the scalability, right? For example, we know that if you are doing performance testing, you don't get to do it on the environment. You have to do it on command line. And the command line, does it have enough space? Is there enough space for you to run like 10,000 requests? Scalability generally, we talk about APIs, just like, Butch has already mentioned. So you have to also think about the API perspective. How is the integration going to work? The version control, the issue tracking. But I'll also consider I'll consider the community and the support of that tool. Because a lot of time, most of the tools that we use, if we don't have enough support for it, you get to see that people drop it because, of course, if you can't get help for it, then there's no point in wasting time. I also consider the cost and licensing, because most companies, if they don't want to spend, money on the costs, they'll possibly not mind you. I'll think about the ease of adoption, which what rightly mentioned is, does it have a user-friendly system? Is it customizable and stuff like that? I'll consider about the security and compliance. I think I'm more security inclined on a lot of things that has to do with testing. I'll consider about the security and the compliance of that. And, just like the question I was asked, I would conduct a proof of concept to evaluate how these tools perform specific in environments as against, the unique testing challenges that I have. The vendor's reputation, which might not be so liable, but I'll check about it. And lastly is about the training. How is it easy for me to use if I want to transfer knowledge to the other person in my team? Because these tools are not selected alone. You have to select it within a team. So you also want to consider if it's something that you can easily understand and also train your team. So those are a few of the things I will have as a criteria to select any tool.
Wow, that's like a mini crash course. Thanks, Biranki. I'm sure that answered Larry's question, as well as some wonderful thoughts about how to go about putting in POC and putting it to your contest specifically, right? I think that if you know how to put it in your box, and I think that solves the problem for us. Thank you so much, Biranki. And next up, I would like to pick a question from the audience. There's a question from Ivelov Petkov. The question is, what are your thoughts on low-code test automation platforms? Do you think that eventually they will substitute the most popular tools like the Selenium, Cucumber, Playwright, Cypress way of testing?
So I would like to take that. So I think I have used many of them because whenever such tool comes in market, they conduct a hackathon and I make sure that I participate in that, because in that short time, in that short sprint, you can fully explore the tool, because generally they will try to give a challenge where you can explore various different areas of that product and you get to know it. So they are good, but I would not say that they can replace it. It will take so many years. And then also, like, people have the love for that customization that many of them could not give. And also most of them are based on Selenium, or they are wrapper on something, right? So so if you are writing a wrapper, that means if the initial things will get, like, if Selenium is stopped, many of the tools might not work, but that might not be the case. But if you are doing a Salesforce application or some particular application which has some fixed flows, and there you want to, maybe there are thousands of cases and you want people to do it at the fast rate. So some people, they might adopt it, but I don't consider it that it might be replacing it soon, because of the customization and the framework thing, which I still see that is missing in those tools.
Yeah, just to add to what Gaurav have rightly mentioned, I don't see it replacing anytime soon. Because for me to consider using a tool, no code tool, for example, I want to know how long has it been on the market? How has it been tested? Has it been proven? Who can attest to it? What is the proof of concept? Right? I wouldn't just say because someone sat down and developed a tool, I then automatically just start using it and I just trust it. Right? These traditional frameworks already prove their structures over the years. Selenium has been there for how many years? Even Cypress has been there, even though it is still recent, but again, it has taken its time to prove. A lot of people didn't accept Cypress for a very long time until recently, right? Java, we all know that it's more like a standard programming language. It will always be there. Python will always be there. These are what developers in the company uses. So they're not going away anytime soon. And I don't see no code tools, matching up with would I say the two, what is their years of experience in the market, right? Have they grown to have a stability in the market? So I would say these no-code tools are coming up. Yes, we are still going to be looking at them, still going to try them, see the way it works, but I don't see them replacing at all. And the level of acceptance, I don't see it anytime soon. Yes, it will be accepted gradually, but it's not automatically.
I would like to add this. Sorry, Butch, did you want to go first?
No, you go ahead.
So I do have some experience with low-code solutions. So just to give you an application example, I work for a NetTech company. We build courses and platforms to host those courses. So our courses are built of components which are repeated in most of them, right? So we use model-based testing. So what we do is we used a third-party company, which was a model-based testing solution company, which was more of a drag and drop for all the components, which is considered to be a model. And then it generates Cypress test code or Selenium test code, whatever we want at that point. And then, so we had the test built over there. So it was a great middle solution for us because we generated a lot of tests to get it running and going so that we didn't have to use manual testing at that time. And while we were doing this, we were also able to build our own internal tool to replace the tool that we built. Not to the full extent, but to the extent that we needed for our solution, right? So it was a very good solution for us to buy that tool and start using it while we were doing the things in the background to get what we needed, right? So it was a good middle ground solution. So I do feel like, we could use that the way we want to our advantage and then, take it where it goes from there.
Yeah, Butch, you want to go ahead?
I mean, I thought that was great. I mean, I was going to say something like very similar, right? I mean, no code tools are there. I think there are a ton out there, right? The market will probably shrink down at some point. There's going to be some clear winners that will rise to the top. And I do think, right, they're not going away by any means. But I would just encourage anybody listening thinking, the low code, no code is the way. I would just encourage you to take some time, invest in learning a programming language and build out a proof of concept and any framework that's out there. It will make you 100 times better a low code user, because there's still different concepts that you take away from test automation, writing your own, that can be applied to low code that will save you a lot of heartache.
Vice versa from experience. Yes, Seema, do you have thoughts to share? Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to continue on, very similar to what Sneha mentioned. So we already have a skills gap with all the automation, coding experience, and availability of testers with expert automation knowledge. That, on top of it, we have continuously changing technology, shift left, adding more testing. To be able to go speed up automation and to be able to start earlier, I think low code, no code does give us that platform to make a good start, to build a framework as a starting point and give us that leap. But it's not sufficient in the long term. It's not going to solve all our problems. It's not enough in the long term. What it would do is give non-skilled or testers who don't know automation and they want to start, it'll help them. It'll also help us start with automation framework. Then we need proper coding skills to actually extend it, and also to be able to add more functionality, which not all tools will be able to provide because your context is very different.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think, as everybody mentioned, that I can take the example of Postman, right? If API testing would only be by coding, maybe people might hesitated to learn that, but Postman has enabled it. So similarly, these no code tools, they will enable you like how the things are done, like how you write the script, and then if code is also generated, like Postman generates that, so it can help, but replacement might not happen so soon, at least.
Yeah, I think I really picked this word replace from this entire discussion. That's the problem. I mean, even Selenium has not replaced QTP, UFT. It's still there. So if somebody is saying that this tool is going to replace this tool, it can replace the coverage of any specific tool. There are projects and company who are completely using low code platform and they are doing it. So forget about tester. As a test manager, I want something where my tester need to spend little time and give me better reports. Maybe less time to, perform the repeatable activities, even through coding itself. So these platforms can be magic for me as a test manager if I need something to be, deliver in sooner rather than later. And if somebody want to grow as a coder, programmer, or as technical enthusiast, of course, there are ways to do. So low code doesn't mean there is no code. And even in no code also, there is somebody who is coding. Open source, go code for them, tell them, add this code into your no code and make it no code for others. Right. So if you want to grab opportunity, you can make it, and that can solve your purpose. But eventually, I really do not want people to spend time on reinventing the wheel. If we have framework, if we have tool, if we have UI ready to, get your stuff done quickly, then why not use it? So I just want to put it that way, that it's not going to replace anything, but definitely the coverage of all these tools will be different, specific to the need that they have. Like we said, testing is a context driven activity. So it depends upon what context you are, and this tool will be really helpful. That's what I think.
Thanks, Sachin. It's like a true test manager speaking up for his team and worried about the velocity and the bandwidth. Very interesting perspective. I'm sure that really helps. Even I've seen such, setup works in enterprise sort of tools. If you go into the SAP technologies of the world or Salesforce of the world, a lot of people use those automation tools, which really help up. So thanks, Sachin. I think this question, thanks, Larry and Ishwar, for asking that question, which actually went around the table. All of you had a chance to answer this question. Thank you so much. So next up, we spoke about the tools itself, right? So I want to ask about what challenges and opportunities do you anticipate with the increasing reliance on the automation and the AI? Two important pillars that helps, the testers out there to bring in quality of the product. So how do you put it into perspective, challenges and opportunities? So go ahead. You could take chances.
I could go. So we established that 2023 was a year for AI and everything. And I feel like 2024 would be the year for the human coexistence with the technology. So there's going to be challenges with ethics and, the regulatory things. And already many companies have established that they don't trust using the public, large language models, and they're probably looking at building their own and, specific to their domains and everything. So from a testing point of view, this is going to be a great opportunity for our testers to use their domain knowledge along with their AI knowledge to start testing these models that are going to be behind their firewall and things like that. So I think that'll be a very interesting thing that we will get to see next year in terms of software testing intersection with how this works out with AI.
Okay,
Like a nice headline for the news out there. Coexistence, human. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, please go ahead, Punky.
Okay. I would say opportunities. I would say that more because automation and AI is something every company is more open to. One, I've always talked about job opportunities. So I would say create more job opportunities for those who can take the opportunities to learn. So if you have the skill set, it is a good opportunity for you to secure more opportunities, right? I would say that because AI and automation, need is also out there, it gets testers more involved in engineering, rather than just the layer of just testing, right? It gets them more deep into the engineering of the products, understanding, just like, Sneha has mentioned, it helps them to understand deeper what happens at the back, what happens in the front. It just dive more into testing, into automation, into engineering than just the surface layer of testing. Challenges, I think, as rightly mentioned, has always been about privacy, has always been about data. If that can be curbed, I don't know to what level that security will be measured next year. But if that if that is not measured, I feel like that will be more challenges, because if this is not rightly measured, it means that with the mismanagement of AI and automation, we are going to be, testers are going to be, or let me say test engineers, managers, or testing generally is going to be exposing company more to security issues. So I would say that the challenges is more security issues because of these AI tools. Means that companies or different individuals or experts or even, security hackers can develop some tools. And because we want to get things done very fast, we fall into a lot of issues. Our GitHub is, has to be double layer protected and stuff like that. But the advantage is there. But if it is well protected, I think we can overcome the challenges next year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think interesting point around security, right? I think so when I asked about automation and then AI, I want you all to think about the non-functional stuff as well, or the cross-functional way. There's a lot of things like accessibility, security, things like that. So please do think on those aspects as well, and share insights about, along with the AI, what else could be sort of a challenge or the opportunities to look beyond in 2024 for testers.
Okay, so I think little different on this point. Like when you have more opportunities to learn, that is actually a challenge. Problem of plenty is biggest problem to deal with. You have a lot of things that are coming up every day, week, every time you're, seeing something on platform like LinkedIn or YouTube, everything is coming new. So first of all, staying updated with what is new, and then also understand what that particular thing where you want to spend, deep knowledge, deep strength of yours to get good knowledge of. You cannot learn everything. So the real challenge is to find out what is that thing which is helpful for you as an individual, as an organization, and then as a competitor to the different people that are there in the market for you. So because we have a lot of things coming, accessibilities are easy, free, a lot of people have learning advantages there. So I see this rather than opportunity, a challenge. And then how to fix it is to distinguish between want and need. So I really want to learn everything, but do I need it? And once you identify what is that which you need, at least for this 2024, 1 year, that is challenge which you need to resolve, and that will become opportunity for you to grow. That's how I link this entire thing of automation and AI. We need to focus on find out the challenge and then cracking that challenge, making your opportunities through that.
I feel that opportunity is for education, because for so long we have seen articles, automation will replace testers. Now there are AI will replace testers by somebody maybe who have never done testing, right? And some of the things would become inbuilt, or like, as you said about the non-functional part of it, like accessibility and visual testing. Like, so we would expect tools could do it automatically, right? You need not to maybe add code for that, because tools are intelligent enough. Like if you're running a suit today and tomorrow, then visual testing is something which we would expect that it would be from the tools. And we have to be careful. Like the challenge would be that, because if you notice a little prompt that comes is ChatGPT data might be inaccurate, right? Even if you use that GitHub Copilot, it writes that AI results might be inaccurate. So we have to come up with that, what is that inaccuracy that it's generating, because if everybody adopts very fast, we can put those things. So that's why, even like the point that was talked about earlier, so Microsoft has that responsible AI principle. So we have 6 principles, right? So one of them is transparency and accountability, right? You cannot say that, okay, this result was generated by AI and nobody is accountable for it, right? We cannot just put anything. There should be a fairness, and all those parameters are important. So because I'm using that in my mobile phone. There is an app called as Swift Keyboard. Even that is also having a AI in it, right? So AI is like generative AI is taking those things. And also like I'll give you one example also, which I faced actually. So it was like I was trying to extract an phone number from an image. Somebody gave me a list of, and they want to talk about some event, and I wanted to create a WhatsApp group. So what happened is I extracted text from the image by using some AI solution. I got it. I added all the people in that group, and people were talking about event. And there was one number which was actually, it was not extracted properly. So some 6 or 9, it got interchanged. So then we later realized that we have a person who was not. So it's like how we are doing that validation, right? Because if AI answers might be inaccurate, it can lead to all these issues. So I think there is a learning opportunity over there. And the more we use it, the more we understand that how it's working and how we can make the best use of it.
Someone else is
Somebody's
also a
gotta
fan
test
of
Yeah.
keyboard as well. Go ahead, Fitz.
Yeah, I'll kind of add on there, like somebody's got to test like the AI output, right? And I've been burned in the past by just like, take this thought, create an email for me, copy and paste, send it on. And it was the wrong thing. I didn't even read it. I made a mistake. I was a poor tester in that moment. But in all of these tools that are coming out where we've got AI kind of generating things or validating certain things, right? That there's still the human element where somebody's got to go make sure like, yep, that's exactly what I meant or what I was expecting, right? With the outputs.
I want to slightly move on to the next one, probably the last one, if not, questions. Yes.
I wanted to add something quickly to what Butch just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to remind the audience that AI is a product. right? We shouldn't forget that AI itself is a product that needs to be tested, that needs to be validated, that needs to be, you have to run all kind of testing on it. It is not an automatic savior. It is also a product that needs to go through testing, just to remind the audience. All right.
I have a slightly related question to that. I'll actually reserve that for the last, maybe if you get a chance and if you're not overshooting time. Speaking of the tools and the opportunities in the learning, I'm a big believer of community and collaboration, right? So how important is collaboration within the testing community? And what benefits you have been observing all these years and how it could help others? For someone who's not been part of community collaboration, so you could share your experience, maybe it could inspire them to be part of the community learnings as well.
I'll jump in first. I will say community is critical for increasing your learning more quickly, if that makes sense. So you can definitely learn on your own, go read the books, go read the blogs, but as soon as you start having a conversation, you start hearing about other people's experiences, what challenges they faced, you can take those and those are almost your own now. You've experienced them through someone else. And honestly, like the more experiences, the more experiences you have, right? The less biases you're going to have and the better tester you're going to be. So I found great value in just meeting new people, taking every opportunity to say yes to a video call to people that reach out to me, just to connect and get to know other people. And it's been great for me and my career, my growth.
I can go next. I definitely think community gives a sense of connection and belonging. Sometimes when you're working within the company, depending on how big or small your team is or your company is, you're trying to solve a problem and not many people are there to talk about that similar problem. They from different groups trying to do different things. But in the community, in the testing community, you definitely would find somebody who's done something similar and sharing their stories and experiences that you can learn from and, talk with. So definitely gives a sense of connection and belonging with that over there.
I think that I started with that the tester of the year, I was wondering that why I was not part of these communities when I started my career. So, and talking about collaboration is so important because when we talk about DevOps, Agile, BDD, right? People talk about tools, how you do DevOps, what is Scrum and all these things. But all these things were created to bring collaboration, right? So that to bring people together so that problems can be avoided, but we moved on to tools. And community really helps. I'm getting this chance because I came to know about that LambdaTest Spartans. I applied for it and happy to end my year with this. And you come to know many other things. Like in LambdaTest, I think they provide access to open source, the free access to the open source, some of the projects. So I came to know once I went in a community event. So all these advantages, and also you can share your problem first instead of trying and failing fast. You can know people's opinion and it really helps. I feel community helps a lot.
And I would just add that, let's not forget the money part. Yeah, with community, you get job opportunities that makes you make money. Yes, I know nobody's talking about the money, but there is money. So currently I run a community in Africa called the Testers Quota. And I would say that with the community, you can get to do a lot of things at discounts because they know this is a community, this is a free voluntary services that you're doing. So you get the opportunity to have some things that are free. I'm expecting my Spartan Lambda shirt. So that's a free gift you also get from the community that you possibly not get if you are not part of a community. The second thing I will now mention is that in a community, I think as community, subsequently, you also need to be more involved and more invested. Right? Don't just come to community to just sit down there and look at everything happening. You have to contribute and invest in the community to grow. That's it for me.
I think this question is going around the table. So yeah, let's go ahead and Sachin and Seema and then.
So I think the community, like everybody is saying, it is really important from the money perspective, and those are the points which people do not talk. But I think one of the important thing from community that I have faced is community is the best place for learning. When I say learning is a cycle. You learn, you apply, you check it is right, you teach, and then you again learn from your teaching, and then again you start learning next thing. So you do not have any other platform in the world other than community to complete this cycle. From YouTube, you can learn, you cannot apply. From university, you can learn, but then you have to go somewhere else to apply. And then, retrospect is not there. So we are part of the test chat community. And there we have seen that, and in community, you get opportunity to speak with tester who has 50 years of experience, discussions going on. A person who has just college pass out, that perspective, you will not get it. You have to go to places to get the experience. Instead of that, go to one place, that's community, collaborate and learn whatever you want. So that's actually life-changing moment for a lot of people. We have seen that kind of passion that people have towards community. And I think this is best thing to be part of as part of your professional journey. So if you are part of any community and communities, I think you are going great. So it's important.
Thank you, Sachin. Seema, if you have any thoughts, you'll be completing the table, or we could go ahead with the last question. We are already 2 minutes over the time.
A very short one. I agree to a lot of them, and I've seen Gaurav get the Tester of the Year on the TTC platform, and I've seen Sachin and his team working on TTC, and there's Test Tribe, there's LambdaTest itself, being part of Spartans. It's been a big learning curve. Just sharing ideas and learning from different people has its own unique opportunities, and you get to meet a lot of people. But not just that, I think it's also a place where if you're in doubt and if you're not comfortable to talk about it in your workplace, that's a great place to come and share your concerns, share your failures, share your successes.
Absolutely.
There are different aspects of it coming up. And I think that's why it's a great forum to be on.
That's a fantastic point. Thanks. That's like a summary, right? So folks who have not been part of the community, I hope this would have inspired you. There's a lot of free goods and spikes. There's some money, there's some concessions for conferences. There are conferences, they would give some discounts if you want to attend to events. And of course, there's free mentoring. And of course, if, as Seema mentioned, if you're not comfortable at your workplace, that's where you go, and you get perspective of a fresher to someone who's 50 years of experience as well. Fantastic thoughts. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know we're already overboost of time, but I just want to quickly go around the table again. And if you want to just leave just one line of parting thoughts for the testers out there in the community, what to look out for in 2024?
I will start. My line is around, I believe quality and testing, at least in smaller organizations, are going to shift, I guess it would be right, towards production, where we put on our site reliability hats and our testing hats, and we learn about how our systems actually operate in production and how to monitor them, how to observe what's happening in production. I think there's a very interesting intersection there that really hasn't been explored, and I think it will continue to be explored in 2024.
It's more than a line, but we'll take it. Who's next?
Grow with community. That's my line. Grow with your community. Yeah, that's all.
I can go next. I would say quality is a mindset. It's not about what tool, what technology, it's about the mindset. Use that to solve the problem that you have in front of you.
I would say keep the fundamentals strong. Technologies and tools will come and go. If you are into problem solving, this will not affect you.
I'll say timing and placement. No matter what is in trend, the one thing which will always be in trend is optimize your time. Everybody is working towards that. And placement is what you need to do where it is important. So if you remember that 2011-6 that Dhoni has done, when we won the World Cup, it was timing and the placement. So if you want to win your game like that, you have to believe in these two things, and you're definitely winning it. So that's my idea.
Last but not the least, I'd say change with the times. Technology is continuously changing. There's always something coming up. Don't be stuck with one thing. and say this is the only thing. It's either AI or no AI. It's either this or that. There's no either or. We can all make it work together and grow along with it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone, for those thoughts. I believe this would have been a good food for thought before everyone head up to their festives locations. Thank you so much again, Spartans. I'm sure those of you attended this panel, and that's like a sneak peek or a movie or a trailer, however you want to consider. What does it to be part of a community? So you're all welcome to join LambdaTest Spartans, and please join. We will have much more opportunities to share thought leadership contents with us. I would like to share something. I've actually put it on the chat. Just like this, so this panel was actually part of the Voices of Community that we do a monthly webinar, but we have something exclusively special for the Spartans. So we have something called the LambdaTest Spartan Summit coming up, which is exclusively featuring our Spartans. Like we have Daniel Knott, we have Srinivasan Sekar, we have Larry, we will have workshops, we will have Subhash. There's a lot of people who are Spartans. It's an entire day of a summit dedicated to Spartans, sharing all thought leadership with you all. That's coming up in February 6th. That's the link for you. Go ahead and register for yourself. And again, as I mentioned, this is just one or two things for the community that we do, and it's completely free for everyone. You don't have to pay a single penny for it. All you have to do is, if you have the time, and that's the opportunity that we give. So making opportunity and challenging it yourself is completely up to you. And thank you so much for everyone joining. With that, I wish you so much for your holidays ahead, and a happy New Year 2024, and happy testing. And thank you, panelists, everyone, Butch, Sneha, Sachin, Gaurav, Ibranki, and Seema for joining us today. Looking forward to more such collaboration in 2024. I hope we could give this a lot of food for thought.
Thank you, Manoj, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Manoj. Thank you, everyone.
Please, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.